is October 17th. Yanks lose a crazy game. They come back in the 8th. They lose in the 10th. We're going to talk all about it here on Talkin' Yanks.
Talkin' Yanks with old John Boy and Jake. Recaps galore, weekly awards,
Stat lines,
team and hot takes. Get your Yankees news from these two fine dudes. It's time for Talkin' Yanks.
Talkin' Yanks with old John Boy
and Jake. Talkin' Yanks with old John Boy and Jake.
Hello and welcome to Talkin' Yanks. Thank you very much for joining us today. My name's Jimmy. His name is Jake. BBD is here. We just wrapped up our live stream. We just finished watching Game 3. Yanks get walked off in Cleveland. The closers get got. We're going to discuss it. Jake's going to burn it. No burn?
No, we got a lot to talk about.
Oh.
If they want the burn, they can go check out Talkin' Baseball, Jim.
All right. Burn will be on Talkin' Baseball.
We got a lot to get through, bro.
All right. What do you want to start with then?
Great game.
Great game.
Ending stunk. IMO.
Stung for Yankees fans.
In my humble
But
opinion. It's like an all-time playoff game.
Yeah, it's a great game. That is a great back and forth game from a third party in the sport. But yeah, obviously for Yankees fans, it stinks.
Good, bad, or ugly? Like, where should we go?
I don't know. We got to go through the game, right?
Okay.
So if you want to do just like state of the feelings, I'm fine. I like the Yankees odds the rest of the way. I like that we have Cole and we have Rodon. This heel start's tricky, but I like us in a best of 3 series, even if they lose tomorrow. So with 2 games at home and with Cole and Rodon, the way they've looked. So I'm not really, like, my overall opinion. We were like mocking them, being arrogant and saying bored. I'm not bored anymore because tomorrow is now a little bit of a butts clenched game and you're putting on heel. But I like the Yanks the rest of the way. I love that Judge got a big clutch home run after looking brutal. And I like that Stan continued to do it. I like that Volpe's at-bats continue to get better. So I if they just lost, if a Class A came and shut them down, I would feel much worse than what just happened. The caveat is Weaver and Clay, can they bounce back? And was that a one-off or is it fatigue? Have they seen each other too much? That's the one thing. But yeah, I'm not really that unnerved by it.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to zoom out and while being zoomed in right now. Like coming into the series, I was telling people around the office, Yanks in 6. The Guardians. We were being serious and joking. Like we were like, hey, where are the Guardians? Where are the Guardians that ran away with the Central all year? And they weren't your normal Guardians. They had times when they were hitting with a ton of power this year while being good at defense, pitching, the best bullpen, et cetera, et cetera. They showed up and they muddied up this series, and it's actually the fun part of this conversation is going to be tomorrow's game because that is going to be an ugly version of playoff baseball we don't get a lot because the bullpens are tired. It's Luis Gil versus Gavin Williams. Gavin Williams had high 4s ERA on the year and hasn't pitched in a while. Like, tomorrow is going to be a version of playoff baseball we don't get a lot anymore. So I'm excited to see that. And yeah, the guards punch back, man. And it sucks because we were an out away, a strike away, an out away. Weaver versus Big Christmas. And yeah, I think what's interesting, and maybe we'll do some guard stuff at the end, but you and me are in lockstep about the Guardians all lefty approach is benefiting the Yankees right now. That you saw what Fry and Noel did at the end of this game. But yeah, the Yankees came through when they needed to, and we kind of wanted to see that at some point. It is just scary because we haven't seen Heel in so long that tomorrow's going to be a weird one. So Before
I think tomorrow's going to be a real weird one because I also think Clay and Weave are not pitching.
I think you're right.
So you're relying on some guys that you don't want to rely on at the end there. Hill, Cousins, Canely is probably what you're looking at if Hill passes the ball. If it's like a blowout either way, it's Stroman's turn to eat it. So the next 3 games, you have everyone ready to go, and that might really upset people. But yeah, the lineup, I guess that's a conversation.
Okay.
Like, I don't know what's going on at first because Birdie made some plays. Then Birdie, there were 2 that went in and out of his glove. He could have turned a double play there. They end up getting the call at first with Hamilton covering, and then he got injured on that. And then the other one was he jumped up, and it was in his glove, it bounced out. So they put Rizzo in for defense, which if you were against that before it happened, kudos to you. But no one can really Monday morning quarterback that. Rizzo's the better defensive first baseman. He looked stiff. Like the first ball that he didn't get looked stiff, and then the other one was fast. I don't know, coming into a game cold, maybe that's he's aged out of that a little bit. But neither of those runs, the only thing you could say about those Rizzo's plays that hurt us would be that we've had to come in earlier in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for me, I think the learn there, dude, like how many times has Anthony Rizzo come in as a defensive replacement in a cold game in his life? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like this could be like closer to 1, a lot closer to 1 than 10 would be off the top of my head.
Chicago, if he had a day off and then they put him in.
Dude, he was like the guy in Chicago.
But I'm saying if he had it gets cold in April there and in September, if he had a day off maybe.
He's their starter. He was their star player. Like,
well, I know, but starters get days off.
I would guess closer to 1 than 10. I'll stand on that. And he's older now. And he's been hurt for a while. That first ball is a tough one. The second one, again, is a hard hit ball, and like he did keep his body in front of it. It just shot the wrong way. So whatever. I mean, they don't get burnt on that. I guess on that first one, if you wanted to play the the lineup advance to batter or whatever. But Weaver gets a double play on the other one. I don't know. I guess the bigger thing for me is like, what did the 2 guys that started tonight that haven't been a part of our starting winning formula, Birdie and Trevino, what did they truly add?
Trevino hurt us like a decent amount because he got picked off. That stunk. I don't know how that happened. He wasn't even trying to steal. They just timed his step right. But they stole 3 bags. Their running game had not been activated because Wells is better at holding people on. They really weren't getting on with the other players. But that one stolen base hurt them when they stole third, and then they drew the infield in, and then they get a ground ball through the infield.
Right.
Where if we hold them there, then that's, and you can't really say the next following steps.
Right,
but the 3 stolen bases hurt, especially that 2 were just like go to third and you got them. Like that was easy. So the flip side, when Wellesley came in, Canely struck whoever that was out, I forget, and Wells just didn't frame the pitches. No, Wells rates out as a decent framing catcher, but he caught those like they weren't close to the zone. And, we have the side shot that I can look at and, all the strike zones, and they're right in there.
Right.
And Trevi probably snags those. So it's a little flip side there. I still want Wellesley in to control the run game, because letting a guy go to third now changes your defensive positioning. Now changes the way you pitch. So that was huge. But Wellesley still looked lost still at the plate.
Yeah, and that was he gets the pinch hit against Gaddis, who he had just had a decent at bat against, and then he kind of doesn't. Strikes out the last 2 pitches are fastballs over the plate. And then that's his he's in there catching Canely after that, which is him off the bench in a cold game, which he hadn't caught a lot of balls that day. That I don't know if Austin Wells for 8 innings had been framing everything and catching everything all day. You can think of that about that I don't know. I mean, we're a couple Luke Weaver pitches away that we haven't felt as good about a reliever as Luke Weaver, in a long time. Like, it's been dominant. It's been cool. It's everything you look for. That we're a couple pitches away from this being like a nice win. But at the end of the day, like, and it's not shots fired at anyone, but I think you just need Rizzo and Wells out there. Like,
yeah.
I know Trevino got a hit, but everything you said about the running game, and like Birdie's at-bats haven't felt bad, but even, he had the double play ball today that I think that was against Tim Herron, who just walked the leadoff hitter that Rizzo.
That was a bad at-bat.
Rizzo probably does a stand on the plate routine there, and who knows what happened. So, like, it's not shots fired at anyone. And, like, we're the same people that were asking for, like, more Oswaldo because we thought he should be in play.
Still would like him over.
If Rizzo's here, play him. He showed us he could hit, and he's Anthony Rizzo. Like, let him play. Austin Wells, we've kind of done this. Like, even the fact he's not hitting right now, still just controlling the base running and being back there, that's more valuable hey, we did it today, and it was almost one of the crazier Yankee wins in history. Are we still doing these conversations? I think so. Like, we still would have done the full Trevi conversation, and Birdie, we would have been like, hey, it's fun watching him play defense, but nothing was added today.
No. You don't know what you were missing offensively. Like, you don't know. But who cares? Because I don't need Birdie and Trevi to be the offensive heroes.
They're not going to be.
They're not going to be.
Nicest way to them.
You need Judge in the middle to be and Stan. And they weren't until they were. But, the early at-bats from them to pound were bad. And you got to get to Boyd, but he's a lefty, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how they don't hit Boyd. But Boyd looked decent at times.
Boyd had a good season this year. Like, he is a lefty, and that is one of the Yankees' current bugaboos. And at this point, we wouldn't see Boyd until Game 7, right?
Yes.
So let's make that none of our business. Let's see. The rest of this is brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook. Playoff baseball. It's here. It's here. Coming down the final stretch. Get in on the action at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Same game parlays, live odds boosts, and so much more. And if you bet now, $5 will instantly get you $200 in bonus bets when you use code YANKS. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. New customers use promo code YANKS. Bet just $5 on any wager. Get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code YANKS only at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Feel like we did a chunk of lineup there. Do we want to do like the pitching as a whole?
Well, Weaver, I think, is interesting. I think they have something on him, or they're comfortable with him. In the first game, they swung at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of his changeups. They missed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those 8. And they chased a lot that were out of the zone. In yesterday's in game 2, they didn't swing and miss at a changeup at all in game 2. They had some fouls. They had the home run. They took one for a ball, 0-2. And then today's game, he threw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 changeups, and you had the big Christmas home run. You had one that was a ball that no bite on it. You had the ground ball double play that Naylor hit, and that was a weekly hit ball. You also had the Ramirez hard hit ball that Rizzo botched that he did swing at and barrel. So games 2 and 3, the changeup hasn't fooled them, and they haven't chased it. And it seemed like Weaver kind of knew that because they did that one at bat that was so weird where they tried to do that backdoor changeup and landed in for a strike instead of the swing and miss. So I'm curious about that because that would be bad news.
Right. Yeah, I think the other thing, so we are in a baseball baseball is constantly adapting, and I gave this speech on Talking Baseball the other day, and it's why they added shifting rules and things like that, because the game wasn't adapting, so they're like, oh, shoot. Baseball is now adapting because teams use their bullpen more. It's still more valuable to use your bullpen because you get higher leverage outs. The more you use them, the more they get exposed. If you heard what's going on in the Dodgers series, Dave Roberts is making sure in the first 3 games that his relievers don't see the same batter. So that's a way to circumnavigate that a little bit. They also haven't put in a situation where, their 2 guys on the back end right now, they haven't needed them in those innings. So they've been able to do that dance. Where's Luke Weaver's cutter? Like, I realize, and we saw this in the Royals series, he started off heavy fastball. He then added the changeup. I think by the end, he even threw a couple cutters. It was like, okay. So I think the Yankees analytics team is like, hey, to get our relievers through this, like, let's hide some of your pitches, and that can help us. Hey, man, this was to go up 3-0. And I wanted to bring up, because I was like, for a second, I went Looney Tunes, because I was like, okay, have I over-exaggerated Weaver's cutter? Like, did he throw that 7% in the regular season? In the regular season, he threw it 23%. So, like, I know they're heavy lefty. I know his changeup has become a wipeout pitch, but, if we win this game, the series is over. Yeah. We're on the mics and we're laughing.
Since becoming high leverage, he cut it out down to 15. Like in July, it was 14, still. August 14, and September 17.
I mean, 15% is still a percent.
Yeah.
They
just have a ton of lefties. He doesn't throw it to lefties. So
John Kensey, Noel, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I realize we're overanalyzing, and if he throws, John Kensey, Noel gets on top of that a little bit, and it's right at Jazz, we're probably not this deep in the convo, but it's noticeable, and like, I expect to see Luke Weaver further on this series throwing his cutter, because I do think this is part of the Yankees, like, how can we be better as a pitching bullpen throughout a 7-game series, and it's hiding stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. I think his cutter had terrible numbers, so I think, like, you can sneak attack it every now and then, but if you get beat on it, that's bad.
I mean, a 181 opposing batting average. Like, I know some of the expected is higher, but it's not
800 slugging in August, 889 slugging in July, 600 slugging in June.
I mean, dude, we're seeing Clay bust out 4-seam fastballs.
Like, I know. I'm just saying. I understand why they're hiding it. I think you can sneak attack it every now and then for maybe like after the fastball, but he's got to feel comfortable doing it. He was missing with his fastball, and then the change was, it's like they were ready for it. Like, Noel was ready for that changeup. You don't hit a pitch. You don't hit a pitch that's darting and diving. I don't care how centered it is.
I do. I mean,
you don't hit it how far you hit it if you're not. And there's a difference between sitting on it and knowing it's coming, but he was definitely sitting changeup there.
Yeah, I don't know. That pitch was pretty middle.
But still, like Trevor May did a show talking about that, and he's like, I don't care. He's talking about splitters and changeups. He's like, when you see a guy barrel it like that, it's not reactionary swing.
It's his best pitch.
Yeah, he was just all over, dude. Like, that was crushed.
Well, if you leave a pitch in the bad spot, whether it's a good pitch, ask Clay's last pitch. That's not a chance to get hit, like.
Yeah, I'm just saying they weren't chasing it. It's a tough spot. I'm interested in what's going on with the changeup, because they didn't chase it the last 2 days. Weave's face, he was shaking off to go to the fastball in that at bat before.
Lane Thomas, I mean, that was a changeup away. I would have been more interested if that was a changeup in, because that would be it's coming over the plate. Like, technically, that one never started over the plate.
Yeah, because he was trying to get it for like a backdoor called strike, because he shook a bunch the 2 pitch before that to do that outside fastball to play off of it. So he was not as confident in his pitches today. I don't know why.
Also his third time in
4
days.
I mean, him and Clay have pitched in every single game. It was going to bite us at one point.
Right.
So I'm just hoping they can bounce back.
Yeah, well, it opens up the conversation that, like, they might not even be on the table tomorrow because they threw some serious pitches, and in a normal season, 3 times they pitched 3 times in 4 days. The Yankees would normally put them on the shelf. I think if they're in a winning situation, but that gets tricky too. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think they're not going to really use him tomorrow. I think a lot of fans might be really upset about who they see coming out of the pen. Because honestly, they have so many lefties. Like once you're, in our live chat, people are like, Gimenez is coming. And it's like, yeah, guys. Like it's early in the game. They're down. And they have so many lefty batters. And Hamilton got hurt, which hurt them. Do we get an update on him?
They said calf tightness.
So
they didn't call it a cramp.
So I wonder if he even goes on the. I don't think they're going to put him on the IL because then he can't play in the next round if they advance.
Yeah. If they replace him on the roster, he is ineligible for the World Series. For the people listening, I know you know, but
and then they would replace him with like Beater or
Lighter
or Beater. Yeah.
Susan on the broadcast, I think, said that Boone told her Lighter was the next one.
Okay.
On the chopping block. So I think Lighter.
Anything else?
I think we should check off just some other little and big stuff from the game. I guess a Guardians thing that I feel weird if we recorded and wasn't mentioned. That play Gimenez made.
Oh yeah, that was an awesome play.
That's crazy. And like if you're if you're one of the people that have been supporting our pregame show energy today, and maybe you haven't kept up with the Guardians this season, like there's a reason that we've tried to get better about tracking defense and like how much WAR that gives you and stuff. Because Gimenez is the best second baseman in the game, and he shined. Like the birdie double play was, well, Jazz needs you to kind of put a little more juice on him. But that was one of the quicker turns you'll see. And that play in the hole, and it was good footwork by Naylor. But that's what the Guardians do. That's their version of Judge and Stanton homering, was Gimenez making that play. I don't know, I feel like we haven't really talked about Clark. I know that's a long time away, but he really only made one mistake, which is pretty nuts.
Yeah, decent amount of pitches. The mistake was a bad pitch. It was a 3-1 in the middle pitch to Manzaro. But
good at bats.
Yeah, that's Clark, man. I want him to be able to go deeper, but that's what we were expecting out of him. They need to get to Boyd there. I like their ability to get runs off the next starters. Like that's what this series is about.
God, and we should end on some of the high notes because I feel like we haven't hit that enough because the highs were pretty sick today and tomorrow. But, like, dude, some of the at-bats early on against Boyd were, like, you can get beat, but they were non-competitive. Like, Judge was having
Judge's first at-bat against Boyd was one of his worst at-bats we've ever seen. He swung at 3 pitches out of the zone, and one of the swings was a non-committed check swing. Now, he comes through to tie the game against Clase, so all is forgiven, and I'm excited about that. And it stinks that kind of gets lost because they lost the game.
Yeah.
But that was a huge moment, and then G does it right afterwards, and that's a huge moment. You can build off that. Now they can build off Clay and Weaver, so it's really just like in the balance of a good game. You walk away from the game saying they outlasted. They were the home team. They walked off. Yanks are up 2-1, and I like the Yankees pitching better moving forward than theirs.
Kind of the last I've got on this one. Gleyber and Soto don't get hits today. I feel bad about throwing Soto in this, and both of them because they've been so good. Each of them had 1 walk, and Gleyber had a sac fly. So like that's not a dead game, but I don't know. It's just interesting when you look back at this box score and we're being critical of players and just analyzing it. Like, Gleyber and Soto had a couple chances tonight that, 1 or 2 early pitches didn't go their way, kind of changed the at-bat. Obviously not out on them or anything like that, but when you're looking back at things that could have been slightly different in this game.
Yeah, I mean, well, the whole first 6 guys didn't get any hits the whole way until Clase came in.
Yeah,
like it was like through 7 innings, the whole first 6 guys didn't have any hits. Is not how you're going to win.
I like those ones.
Yeah, But you got to beat these guys by getting runs off of the first two pitchers in the game, like game 1 and game 2. So they got Gavin Williams game tomorrow. Yeah. And then who would go 4 for them? Bybee?
Bybee 5.
Tomorrow's
4.
Tomorrow's 4. Bybee Cole 5.
I would assume so. Bybee Rodon.
Bybee, yes, I forgot. Anything else?
I don't know. I think the Talkin' Yanks people would probably want us to, well, check out the pregame show tomorrow for the full pitching path to victory and stuff like that. But I don't know. Do we need to get anything out there about Heel, Stroman? I mean, you already said, whatever you think's coming out of the bullpen tomorrow is different. 2-inning Tim Hill is probably very much on the table.
Yep.
Jake Cousins in an interesting spot.
I don't know if you see Cousins. You will, but like probably for a righty to end an inning, and then if it's a softer lefty, I also wonder against Heel. What are Heel splits? If I'm the Guardians and they don't start Noel and Fry, or
you have to start at least
one of them. It's crazy.
Let's see. Heel this year, lefties were better. 707 OPS versus a 584 on the righties. Yeah. I don't know. Hey, Luis Heel, like a weird season, man. He's one of the most electric pitchers in baseball to start the year. Kind of was like a default, hey, his numbers are good enough. He should be in the Rookie of the Year conversations, but he's kind of not. And we haven't seen him pitch. I mean, when was his last game? His last game was September 28th. So Luis Heel hasn't pitched in almost 3 weeks.
He threw a sim game Sunday, so
what are his
normal
numbers?
Rest from that day.
What are his numbers, I guess? Dude, in the 8th inning, Canely had 3 pitches that were clocked in the zone called balls.
Yeah.
And I'm not, you want the umps to get it no matter what, but Wells really doesn't even present them like
Helps
strikes.
when it's a clean catch, yeah.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 5 pitches each. They had 5 balls in the zone called a ball, and the Yanks had 5 in the zone called a ball. And the Yanks had 2 out of the zone called a strike, and they had 2 out of the zone called a strike. So very even by Dan Iasonia behind home plate on his misses.
Gavin Williams' last game, September 22nd.
Okay, so let's see who does better on rest.
Luis Heel's numbers are good.
On rest?
With 6+ days of rest. It's only happened 6 times this year, but his numbers are his best.
That's a decent.
That's not
right.
Nothing
It's not
sample.
nothing.
Yeah, usually it's like 3. It's like after the spring training, after.
Well, they had to
All-Star.
be careful with him this year.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing.
11 games started on 6+ runs, or am I in career?
I think you're in career. I did this year.
I'm in this year.
Not sure.
I
I have 10 on 4 days, 13 on 5, 6 on 6+.
10, 13, 6. Yeah, that's what I got.
Okay.
Maybe I was on the other guy.
Gavin.
2.51 ERA, 6 days rest. What games were those? Because they do first of the season. Does that count?
I guess typically they do get you line up your last spring training start to be extra rest. But
Yeah. We got first game of the season, 99 days rest.
That's good.
September 6th, came back from injury against the Cubs. That was a weird performance, but 6 innings pitched, 0 earned runs. Mets, 5 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 9 days rest. Angels was 8 days rest, 5 innings pitched, 0. Okay. And then 2 sevens.
I'd lean the rest was
All in August.
good for him. Looked a little gassed down the stretch.
Yeah.
And it looks like he had 1 outing versus Cleveland. It was his last one before they put him on a little timeout. So but he was wild. 6 walks.
Yeah, he just needs to be in the zone.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wonder, they need some sort of length out of him.
That's
or Stroman.
My biggest concern is that tomorrow for the Yankees is not a punt game, but a Clay and Weaver can't go again.
Right.
Unless you need like 2 outs from Weave to reach the bottom of the lineup at the end of the game.
Really need it.
I don't know if they can.
Certainly not going to see both unless it's extras again.
Or like to finish an inning, but yeah, they're really not going to go. Like, they're not part of the plan. That's kind of for sure. So, if Heel can't last, you're looking at a real shitty, you're looking at Tim Hill for 2.
Probably. Lefty heavy line.
Hamilton's going to be out. You're looking at Canely, Cousins, Tim Hill. And Canely and Hill probably get like what they did in game 1. Canely gets the 9th or that lane. Hill gets, that's probably 3 innings. Canely is probably covering you for 3 innings.
Probably need Cousins. And I mean, again, we're talking about the bright side of Heel here, but I think you're going to need 5 out of Heel and Stroman.
And then 3 out of Hill, Canely, and then a bridge with Cousins for 1.
Can't rule out Tim Meza. This is what I'm saying. It's tomorrow's some new age chaos playoff baseball.
Need some fucking runs. What does Gavin Williams throw?
We're streaming with Kid Miro tomorrow.
The kid.
Some of you will think that's really cool. Him and Joe's are buddies. He saw we were streaming. He loved it, so he wanted in. So. And if you haven't checked out our live streams, it's a wild ride. Chat is active. We're active.
4-seam. Okay, so to righties, he throws a 4-seam 54% of the time over the season. Let me see what he did down in the last month. 50% of the time. Then slider, curve, cutter, and the cutter's 12. So that's pretty standard. And lefties, 4-seamer, and curveball. That's a good mix for like Verdugo and Soto on the left side. Should be a good mix for Judge.
He's beefy and downhill. Listed 6'6", 250. Fastball sat at 96.6 during the year. So expect him to be juiced up tomorrow.
Yeah, that's fast. Is he a short arm dude? His picture on Baseball Savant looks like he's a short arm.
Yeah, he's got that Giolito short arm going. I watched him a couple times last year, and he had a good year, and he looked impressive. I didn't see him this year, so I don't know if it's bad luck or what's changed, but he has arm talent.
Who'd they use out of the pen today?
The Guardians used Smith, Herron, Gaddis, Clase, Morgan, Walters, Avila.
No Sobrowski and no... Okay, so Avila's come in all 3 games. Morgan's come in the last 2. They got Lively for length tomorrow.
Williams, Lively, and I mean, the other thing that, playoffs are game by game, but none of their guys got burnt. Nobody, outside of Avila, nobody threw over 16 pitches.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's smart of them.
Yeah.
I think they did that in game 2 as well. It was like 19 was the most by Sobrowski, but Morgan was 6 and Avila was 3 and Cade Smith and Herron were 17 apiece. But Cade Smith and Herron gone, yeah. They'll do that again tomorrow if they have to.
Oh, yeah.
Normal lineup tomorrow. Because I don't think you can just slide Wells back into the cleanup. And dude.
Well,
I'd play Oswaldo, dude.
Where?
Jazz.
Yeah?
Jazz looks awful. I mean, what did Jazz, you got on base?
Got a hit and a walk.
What was the hit? The walk was nice.
The hit was
Up the
after
middle?
the big rally up the middle. The walk was good. They're not going to.
They're not going to.
And I think they're probably
Swipe that bag.
I think they're probably going to leave him up there.
167 on base percentage.
I think they lead him up there and they slide Wells down.
Versus a righty, put Rizzo up there.
I'm okay with that. I think they could, but
Would you stack? Would you leave the stack, Judge and Stanton,
that's fun.
even though it's a righty? I'm not against that. You can't put Wells back in cleanup. You just can't do it to him as a player, a young
do
player.
the stack.
Do the stack, right?
We're here, and it doesn't matter right now, you know?
So it'd be Glaber, Soto, Judge, Stanton, Rizzo, Volpe to 6.
Rizzo would be cool. I'm fine if it's Jazz. Hopefully he's starting an uptick.
It's just so many lefties stacked. I don't think they can stack the righties there. Because then you have Jazz, 5 through 9 is one righty in Volpe. And then Wells is lefty, Verdugo's lefty, Rizzo's lefty, Jazz is lefty. So you do 2 lefties, Volpe 7, 2 lefties. I don't know if they'd want to do so many, a 2 righty lane, a 2 lefty lane, another 2 lefty lane.
Or I'd even, for the bottom of the lineup, I'd even finish 3 lefties. Just like Heron is probably going to get that lane and be prepared for it. Greg Bird was prepared for Andrew Miller.
Yeah, I don't hate that.
You know?
I don't hate that.
That can be fine.
What do they not want what do the guards not want the Yanks to do?
Have Judge and Stanton.
Back to back, right?
Yes.
I think so.
Potential to get more at bats.
I think so as well. All right, we'll see what they do tomorrow. It's an 8 o'clock start. We'll be there on the stream. Be fun. Goodbye. Go Yanks. Up 2-1 in the series.
Win tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
It all goes away.
See ya. Go Yanks. Tell 'em Grams.
Go Yankees.